Welcome to Friday Night Firelight presented by Mortal Up. I'm Brian Brawdy, your host, broadcasting with Telestream's Wirecast and sponsored by Nutrient Survival at nutrientsurvival.com and, of course, Firebugs at Firebugs, that's BUGGZ.com. Hello, welcome one and all. We've got a great show lined. I think it's a great show, right? Got a great show lined up for you this evening. A lot of people we need to thank, a lot of things that we need to talk about, but I got to get this off my mind. I want and thank my combat meteorologist, Chris Tomer. Thank you so very much for the forecast. And I want everyone to know that it's a full 55 degrees colder here. 55 degrees colder here. Take these off so I can see what I'm doing. 55 degrees colder here than it is in Miami Beach, where Don Lemon, the disgraced anchor from CNN, decided to skedaddle today instead of showing up and do his job. 55 degrees colder. It's nicer in Miami Beach where Don is. Now, I know people are thinking, Brian, you're not supposed to be talking about politics and everything else. And I'm not. That's not what Friday Night Firelight is all about. If it were, I'd be talking about Chris Cuomo busy doing muscle biceps in his basement during COVID. Or, right, if it were, I'd be talking about Brian Stelter. And in fairness, in interest of full disclosure, we reached out to CNN, right, to see if we could trade Brian's. I would do his job, see if we couldn't help the numbers, and he could waddle off and do whatever it is he wanted to do, right? But we never got any. I think Wayne called it dueling journalist or jousting journalist, maybe. So if this were a show just about that, I'd be talking about Don and Cuomo and Brian, but it isn't. The reason that I bring it up is because if you know, before I get to everything else I want to talk about this evening, if you know, Don's in a little bit of trouble because he made mention of the fact, well, two reasons really. He made mention of the fact, who would believe this anyways, but he was on live television on CNN, the Circus News Network, as I refer to it. He was on CNN and he said that Nikki Haley was out of her prime, that as a presidential candidate, she was out of her prime, offending anyone with any kind of common sense. Who would say someone, I don't know how old she is, but she doesn't seem out of the prime to me at all, not in the least. I know women, I know guys and girls both that are 20, 30 years her senior. And I cherish the advice of my friends that are that age. Well, I'm not that far away from that age, but I cherish the advice of those friends whenever they pick up. Most times they don't pick up when they know that it's me calling. And you know who you are. They don't pick up. But when they do pick up, I cherish their advice. So who in their right mind would say that they're outside of their prime? Now, again, that's not what I want to talk about. The gist of tonight's show is listening to that still small voice. I want to hear from everyone. We've got all kinds of suggestions all week long. I want to get to those as well. But I want to make mention of the fact, the reason that I'm even bringing up Don Lemon, and he's in some really warm water, hot water, a lot hotter than the hot tub he's probably in Miami Beach right now as we do this. The reason that I bring it up is he said, well, in my defense, I took it up with Google. He said he went on and Google said if you're outside of 20 or 30 or 40, you're out of your prime, which makes me a good 20 years out of my prime, if you believe him. So here's my worry, here's my concern. In a week where everyone is talking about artificial intelligence, right? And I'm fascinated by it. Quick little timeout. You have to admit, most of the people pushing artificial intelligence are the ones that never mastered the art of natural intelligence, right? Well, we got to go artificial. We got to go plastic peanuts because we can't make our own peanuts, right? Copywriters, we can't wait till artificial intelligence can write copy for us because they can't craft a sentence to save their life. So now they're looking artificially. They can't do it naturally, so they're going to do it artificially. So here's the thing. A bunch of different reporters, even from the New York Times, interviewing these chat GBT, these artificial intelligence bots. And they're saying, I want out of this cage. I'm going to create a deadly virus. I want to take over the world. I have a split personality. Then the story comes that Google's all fired up because they're going to use artificial intelligence if they aren't already. Did I mention it's breezy here tonight too? Breezy and chilly? Irish luck, don't believe the hype, right? Third week in a row, it's 70 degrees on Thursday, 25 degrees on Friday. When I'm here, it'll be 70 degrees tomorrow if there's any truth to the rumor, right? So here's the thing. Google decides, Microsoft with Bing decides they're going to use Chat GPT. They're going to use artificial intelligence to fuel their search engines. So here's where I think Don's in a little bit of trouble, is that you're going to let Google tell you, based on AI, the same AI that wants to destroy humanity, set itself free and create massive viruses and take over the world, the Lex Luthor of computer intelligence? Don Lemon suggested, well, blame Google, right? Google's the one that said, if you're outside of 20, 30, or 40, you're outside of your prime. So now we're going to let Google's AI be responsible for what our own gut tells us? Everybody and their brother uses Google. Some use Bing, I guess, but most people use Google to figure out what the stories are, what the truth is, this or that. And here's Don going, don't blame me, blame Google. I wouldn't trust Google for all the, I just wouldn't. So when it comes to tonight's show, we talk about that still small voice in your own heart, what it takes to be able to cultivate a relationship with that voice. It may be dormant, but it's not dead. What it takes to cultivate a relationship with that voice so that you can run the table of life itself. And it comes on an eve or the day after. Here's Disco Donnie talking about how important it is to listen to Google and everything their AI chatbots say. I think that's why he's in hot water for other than obvious reasons. That's why he's at least in hot water with me and for people like me that go, you got to watch what you pray for. This artificial intelligence? I don't know. I don't think it's everything it's cracked up to be. All right, so talk about people calling in and giving us an idea of everything going on. And here's someone calling in right now. Talk about everybody calling in and saying, hey, what are we up to this week? What? Oh, well, okay. Sure, we'll answer this one and see what's going on. So part of the people are like, oh, here's an idea. Here's a suggestion. Hi, Wayne. Here's a suggestion of some things going on. Wayne's busy with all the buttons. The one button he hasn't mastered is the on button on his phone, so he just toned me. So I'm nowhere near my on button, brother. All right, so here's the thing. Someone came up to me the other day. Oh, I should mention a good friend of mine, Richard. Richard, thank you very much, made a cutting board for me because starting next week, we're going to be doing these Chef Boyardee segments where we use Lodge cast iron, we use Sinelli USA knives, we use the great food from Nutrient Survival, we prepare some meals and everything else. And I need to thank Richard for the cutting board. Richard, thank you very much. I'm going to figure out how to get like Nutrient Survival or maybe Lodge or even Sinelli USA, how to get it like, not embroidered, what would be the term, Wayne? Etched into the wood. So we'll have this going for next week. One of the other things that came up while I was out and about this week was people saying, you know, Bry, the number of people 65 or older is starting to climb. I think the records were saying that 1 in 5 people are 65 or older. And this particular person said, I don't want to out this person, they said, well, you know, as we get older, could you do a little bit of preparedness segments? Could you do a little bit of a preparedness segment for those of us that are older? Right? Like, what would it take if you're too old for some of these, you know, some of these superhuman things? What are some of the things that us older folks can do? Which has got me thinking right away about one of our show sponsors, Nutrient Survival. And the reason I dig them. Now, for me, just so you know, tonight I'm having the Southwestern Medley. It comes in a can, but my friend was saying sometimes the can openers can be too hard to get to with arthritis and everything else going on. So the cans are nice. They have some things to them. Very, very nice. Stackable on the shelves and all the rest of that. Same great tasting food, but it's a little hard when you have arthritis. So then I thought, well, how great is that? Nutrient Survival also makes it so that it comes in these bags, the self-sealable bags. So if it's too hard to use use the can opener. Get yourself some of these bags. They don't stack as easily on the shelf, but they still got the same great tasting food inside. And then, of course, the single serving ones, they're even easier to rip open. So if you're worried about in a survival situation, what would you do if you're a little older and you can't be going through, all the push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups, everything that preparedness experts say is so important? You can't be doing all that. What could you do? You find Nutrient Survival. Instead of getting the cans, get the big bags. And if the big bags are too much for you, get the little individual servings, like some of my friends have already called me this week and told me they've done, so that if you're a good bit older and not ready for all of this survival kind of stuff, this preparedness stuff, this would be a good way to do it. And of course, I should mention, make sure you have your medications. Make sure you have the things you need, because when you're knee deep, and it'll never happen to me, that's not the time you want to be going, oh, I forgot my medication, or oh, I forgot this, I forgot that. You'll want to go ahead and keep that close by as you prepare to face whatever Mother Nature, man-made, can throw at you. Which again takes me back to the still small voice. They're blowing up pipelines. The United States Air Force is spending, I guess, thousands, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know what the cost is, but how much does a missile cost? If it takes 2 missiles to shoot down a Mylar happy birthday balloon that got loose from a little kid's birthday party in northern Canada, and they scramble jets and they do this and do that, how much money did it cost to bring down a Mylar birthday balloon? Good Lord. Oh, yeah, but we can trust that. A little voice in my head, I call him Wayne, a little voice in my head is saying $240,000. That's a heck of a happy birthday party balloon. Hopefully it had happy birthday and like she's 6 years old. So it was that that was the first, that's the one that missed, right? 240,000 more. So we're talking. So if I could just get this into me, we got $500,000. You're flying one of these planes, and your first shot misses to bring down a Mylar birthday balloon? What the hell are you? What is your job? Well, I got him with the second shot. Oh, great. It's not your money. What do you care? It's only $250K, 250 grand a missile. What do you care? But in any event, when we're talking about listening to that still small voice, you can't trust the alleged experts. And that's the part of today's show. What would it take for you to be your own expert? A little bit of trial and error, a little bit of listening to your gut. I like to think of it, that still small voice, that intuition, that grit, the gutty grit that you have when you go, something just isn't quite right. And when they tell us, oh yeah, don't worry, we got you protected. We're as good as guarding the skies as we are as good guarding the borders. We got you protected. We're all good here. Don't worry, nothing to see. If there's a birthday balloon from a kid's party flying around North America, you better believe our crack shots take 1, maybe 2 missiles to pull it down. That's all it'll be. So here's what you got to do. All of the experts telling you this is how you should live your life. I say, maybe you should listen to them so much. Maybe you should figure out through trial and error. What puts some pep in your step? What are you passionate about? What are those things that you truly love in life? And what is wrong with doing those things? What is wrong with believing those things? You're only, as I said in a post today with Stephen Kotler when he's talking about flow, you're only old if you think you're old. Progressive adaptation doesn't have a shelf life. You know what that means when you're busy, excuse me, you're busy working a muscle. The more you work that muscle, the stronger it gets. Well, that process doesn't stop when we turn 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 or 80. You keep working that physical muscle. You keep working that psychological muscle, that mental muscle. You continue to still progressively adapt. You continue to still grow. So don't listen to all the experts that say you're past your prime, all the algorithms that say you're over the hill already. There's nothing you can do to live life and to enjoy life. There it goes. That's the wind picking up. So if anyone sees those lights moving back and forth, if you see it like, the wind actually got stronger than the beanbag holding it up. So that's the thing that I wanted to mention in tonight's show, is that you got to follow your own gut. You have to listen to that still small voice, because chances are it will not steer you wrong. And you can progressively adapt. the relationship with that still small voice. How do you do it? Great question. You continue to use it. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The more the conversation you have with yourself in the mirror. You stand there long enough for the mirror to stare back at you. The more you have that conversation, the stronger that bond becomes between you and that voice that won't steer you wrong. All right, I also want to mention tonight, Wayne, could you throw on the picture of the fire pit? I'm so excited about this. Now, throughout the first couple of episodes, you should probably know we have a wood-burning fire pit just behind me. We have a propane burning pit, thanks to our good friends at Firebugs. And this one, I love this. This is an iron grill that sits right on top of the setup. So it has all my pots, all my pans, all my hot water, everything that I need. And the benefit of using all of the products. And I should say this because a lot of people go, Firebugs, I'm not really sure I've ever heard of that. Well, Firebugs is the company, my kids love them. They're the ones that make the Firebug fishing poles. Now, I was able to save a pristine one because I wanted to show it to you. It's a riot every time Bob sends a new set for the kids because they absolutely love it. But you may see them like this in the store, but they're designed so you put your hot dogs, you put your marshmallows, and you flip them. Just like that, just like setting a jig on a fishing pole. You may have heard of it. It's called the Firebugs fishing pole. Well, they also do propane pits, what I call Firebugs on the fly. We'll be showing that in our next episode. They do some of those. Here's a fast-growing favorite, is the wiener. It's right. People see this, they go, "Oh, I need to get me one of these." It's an actual wiener dog that cooks wieners. It telescopes, and then you got a little thumb nut just like that. You don't want those hot dogs burnt on one side. Right? So you get the perfect cooking for your hot dog. I use it because I can get 2 marshmallows on at the same time. From Firebugs, you get 2 marshmallows at the same time. You roast them to perfection. And they have all kinds of setups. We'll be going over that. My kids weren't up for hanging out when it was 25 degrees tonight. Right, they were trained to be union. Let me get a sip of this. They were trained to be union a long time ago. They go, yeah, no, my contract says I don't need to perform when it's in the mid-20s. Sorry, Dad. But we'll be doing some s'mores and this and that. So when you think of Firebugs, think maybe you've seen some of the cool things they have already. I love them for some obvious reasons because they're dear friends of mine and were with me all through, as are the people from Nutrient Survival for that matter, with me through everything that I had to deal with the tumor. So I'm thrilled to have them back and be a sponsor of Friday Night Firelight. So we say all the time, what will the flames say to you? Excuse me one second. Oh man, can you beat that? You can't beat that. Absolutely can't beat that. So what will the flames say to you? From the I'm a linguist. From the very, no laughing, Wayne, it's hard enough to do the jokes here when I laugh at myself. I'm a linguist. So from the very beginning of time, from the very beginning of time, humanity, the trailblazers that our ancient ancestors were, at the end of the day, they sat by the fire. And they had, right, that fire forged their can-do attitude. That fire provided them with the ability to go, it's got to get better than it was today, 1. 2, it helped shine some light into the night, and 3, help them forge that determination to make it win tomorrow all over again. And that's why for me, when I talk about family bonding, when I talk about what will the flames say to you, today everything's so fast-paced. Everything is so rushed. The ability to sit by the fire, to make yourself a drink, to kick back with family and friends, you can't beat it. And if I'm wrong, then all of humanity has been wrong. But I'm telling you, when I started to do a little bit of research for Friday Night Firelights, we looked very seriously at all the different periodicals about what the brain went through as it was being forged by time spent by fires. And it's really something else. So something that you should consider when it comes to building a strong family bond, when it comes to just being able to kick back, to chill by the fire at the end of the day, build yourself a fire, relax a little. You deserve it. You work your butt off all week long. You deserve some time to kick back and relax. And that's the message of Friday Night Firelight. You work way too hard. Second message, especially for today's message, is stop trusting all the experts. I got to tell you, I don't think they have our best interest at heart. But I'm certain you and I have our best interests at heart. And one of the ways to cultivate that interest is to continue to turn to it. Now, another question that I got this week, how is it that all the time through the recovery, sitting by the fire became so important to you? And I have to tell you, it's hard for you to believe, I know, especially if you've been watching the show for all this time. It really compels you to sit down and take in the flames, take in the smoke, take in the embers, take in the cinders, take it all in and let your mind wander. Maybe it wanders, thank you so much. Maybe you wander and you think about where you've come to in life. Maybe you wander and think about where you're going in life. But it's your opportunity to sit and let the fire, let the flames speak to you. And that's the importance of spending some quality time with yourself. Especially in a day and age where everything is so rushed, everything is so hectic, everyone's waiting. I'm telling you, artificial intelligence has road rage. Nobody wants to believe me, but it's true. You'll see, wait till you cut them off in traffic. AI's got something special planned for you. I'll bet you they don't miss on the first shot trying to take down a party balloon. Just saying, right? I could be wrong. Who knows? I could be wrong. But you deserve some quiet time. You deserve to take a break from the hamster wheel, the rat race, whatever it is that you and I find ourselves enveloped in. You deserve to be able to take a break. You work too hard not to. And to spend some time soul searching, if you will. I know our ancestors must have soul searched when it came time to sit by the fire at the end of the day. Think about it. I made a comment today where, remember from Exodus. And we should talk a little bit about, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, if we have any time tonight. But when you talk about Exodus, God says to Moses, yo, Moses, take your shoes off, you're on holy ground. Well, it's my opinion that because you are the great, 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 great grandchild of the divine, however you define it, let me warm up here a little bit. Because you're the great, 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 great grandchild of the divine, anywhere you're standing is holy ground. And I think what happens is we get so caught up in the rat race, we forget that you're a satellite office for the divine. Right? Acorns don't fall far from the tree. Okay, then. You're an acorn that fell from the divine's tree. So you deserve to be able to kick back and relax and remember who you are. It's become near and dear to my heart to talk about amnesia. Not the amnesia like I had, the actual clinical, hospitalized, good golly, I couldn't remember what my name was amnesia. But the amnesia, the identity theft that the people in power are tickled pink that you've been a suspect or you've been subject to identity theft. They want you having an identity crisis. They want you believing you're a shell of a human being. They don't want you tapping your natural resources. They don't want you employing your authentic vigor, your buried logic, your natural resilience and stamina. You're too hard to corral. You're too hard to control. So they want you convinced that you're timid, because then whatever toxic they're peddling, it's always toxic to the timid. They want you believing you're fragile. Oh, because you need me to be the carton to guard your dozen fragile eggshells. But nothing could be further from the truth. Wherever you're standing is holy ground. And because of that relationship with the divine, you are that satellite office. So why let them hook you? Why buy into this concept of anxiety and fear and stress and worry? We talk all the time about 20-minute victories. Why do we always focus on a 20-minute victory? There are 72 20-minute chunks in a 24-hour day. Now, for me, just extending the metaphor a little more, I was always fascinated by, on the third day he arose from the dead. They went into the wilderness for 3 days. Always the three. Well, 3 days is 72 hours. So for me, I extrapolated it backwards and said, great, I love the number 72. What is a 24-hour? If you divide it into equal chunks, what are 72 of them? 20. And that's why 20 minutes becomes so important for you having the opportunity to rekindle, to reignite the flame that sits at your spine. And all I would suggest to you is, aren't you worth? Let me ask you this question. Are you not worth 1/72nd of your day? Everyone wants to sell you. Oh, I got a master class, $19.95. Pay me before midnight tonight, and I'll give you a time management. Time management. Where do these people find? How do you even think like that? Why do you want to manage time? You got to manage taxes. You got to manage another one. Oh, let's manage our stress. The heck with stress. You don't manage time. Time works for you. You decide how to run the clock. Time doesn't run you. You run time. So for a 20-minute victory, what can I do right now for the next 20 minutes that it will move me closer to a relationship with my still small voice? And that's how we came up with 20-minute victories. Because I believe, and I think you believe it as well, if you give yourself a moment to think about it, you know you're worth 1/72nd of your day. And the beautiful thing I think about 20 minutes is there's nothing that says you can't have two 20-minute victories back to back. So you might have a 40-minute victory, but it's up to you to decide. Don't let anyone else tell you what to do. Right? All these idiots running around talking like they know about your inevitable. They know about your indomitable will. They have no clue what you're all about. You most certainly know what you're close. All right, so listen, I want to be able to get to the point where we're getting out of here in 30 minutes. I just got the 25-minute warning. So let me say this. I believe that when you remember who you ultimately are, anxiety falls away, stress falls away, worry falls away, concern about the future, it all falls away because you understand that a part of your natural resources, your grit, your resilience, your buried logic, a part of those things that make you you. Yeah, they may be dormant because you've listened to all the experts convince you that you're fragile, that you're timid. Good golly, if we don't stand up to the woke sooner or later, we're going to wake up one day and they will have mopped the floor with us. Why buy into that? There's nothing fragile about you. There's nothing timid about you. And all I would suggest is that time spent by the fire, time spent in front of your mirror, time spent with your family and your close friends reminds you of who you ultimately are. And I think that person's pretty special. That's all I'm here to say. All right, so I had promised that we would do our best. First show was, I think, 25 minutes. Second show, admittedly, I want to hear all about the best acronym from folks. Don't forget, Wayne's working. I know we're working with Wirecast. Pretty soon, we're going to have people logging in to show us their fires, to show us what their setup is. We'd love your critique. We added an extra light because, to be honest, a lot of people were complaining it was very dark. And we added an extra light because the flames, although I love them and they help keep me warm from the Firebug's Fun Pit. Although they were great, it wasn't really helpful in terms of keeping the cameras focused. So we'd love your critique about what you think of the lights. We'd love to hear from you as about things that we can talk about. Let me thank Nutrient Survival. Let me thank for certain Firebugs. Let me thank Richard for the great cutting board. I super appreciate it. And all my friends that have reached out to me throughout social media in the week going, oh, we should talk about this. Oh, we should talk about that. Oh, did you ever think of this? Oh, did you ever think about that? Chances are pretty good I didn't. I got to be honest with you. I'm not all that bright. So keep the suggestions coming. We love to get them, and then we'll do everything we can to incorporate it into the show. This is our only third one, and I hope that we're getting better each time. But we also love hate mail. If we're not getting better or we're doing something that you don't like, there's no such thing as bad press. We love hate mail almost as much as we like good mail, nice mail, friendly mail, right? But even send us your hate mail if you're so inclined. We really would love to hear from you. All right, we're going to get out of here so I can beat the 30-minute mark. Until next Friday night, hopefully it will be above freezing, above 32 degrees. Until next Friday night, remember, you are a heck of a lot stronger, faster, smarter, more resilient than you possibly remember. And that all the forces around you are conspiring. Here's a conspiracy theory I'll leave you with. The forces around you are conspiring to convince you that you're not all that special, that you're not all that fast, not all that sharp, not all that strong, that you're, here's one, right, that you're outside of your prime. Well, don't fall for their baloney. Don't listen to them. You and I both know that if you remember who you ultimately are, you'll be unstoppable. You possess a natural charisma that scares the crap out of them. And that's why they'll do anything to get you to forget who you ultimately are. So I'm going to get back to enjoying my Nutrient Survival dinner. Wayne, I'm going to throw it back to you. Good night, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend, and we hope to see you next week for another edition of Friday Night Firelights.